Baruch Flashman, Tikkun Elevator Kollel, continuing in this series on interconnectedness, part 3, thoughts. Rabbi MIMRAN mentioned in the last year that thought is actually faster than the speed of light. And he said that because thought has an origin. He wants to say that thought, he says, it can't be either good thought or bad thought, but I think he means good, the thought that is related to our Creator. That pattern of being wanting to be connected to the Creator is beyond the speed of light. The other thought is the one that makes us physical. The other side, that's the side of what we call the Yetzer Hara, or the side of the force of physicality in the world. He writes, there is never a moment, God forbid, where there is absolutely no dvekus between Hashem and Klal Yisrael and the Jewish people. With dvekus means clinging, attachment, oneness. This dvekus allows the world to continue existing. The Jewish people are people, just like everybody else. It's just that our task in the world is really to be priests for the people. We got to be able to do that for ourselves first. And this is our struggle. He says, as previously noted, the modulations of mind are through the process of thought which travels along the directional boundaries between good and evil. He says, once again, the modulations, he means the frequency, that thought really, he wants to say, is some kind of a vibration within a vibration within a vibration. I mean, it's very, very deep. It has an origin. And he says the minds are through the process of thought which thought travels along the directional boundaries. It's in between good and evil. As we have learned above, where you think is where you are. Again, I say Rabbi MIMRAN used to say this, again, he's saying it all along. Whatever you're thinking about, that's where you are. Maybe that's who you are. If you think about or allow yourself to feel, for example, anger, then this is where your mind is. Yet do not think anger to be a simple feeling in your head. Your thoughts are things, and they manifest in the fifth dimension as clearly as lightning manifests in ours. Thus, when we think a thought about a specific thing, that thought manifests in the fifth dimension in the same non-physical area as all other similar things. Again, when we think a thought, we're thinking about something specific. This thought manifests in a world he says he calls the fifth dimension. That's the world beyond the speed of light. In the same non-physical area as all other similar thoughts. Now, what actually that means to me personally, I guess I have to think about it. According to the latest theories in nuclear physics, subatomic particles, the smallest conceivable forms of matter, are called superstrings. Now, what we like about this is that it's telling us that behind what's in front of you is something behind that, and behind that, and behind that, and behind that, until it becomes manifest because of the speed. The super tiny forms of matter, millions of which make up a mere single subatomic particle, are said to be in the form of little superstrings. What makes matter bound together and form different patterns is how these superstrings are said to vibrate. Now, this is very interesting because once you start talking about, in my mind, once you start talking about vibration, I had ideas of molecules and atoms and the physical things I couldn't understand. Once you start talking about vibration, though, waves, some wavelength, some super wavelength, which is an origin, like a root for other waves. I think that's what he wants to say. So he said, in order works, the superstrings are like the strings on a guitar or violin. When they are plucked, music is made and sound is formed. Thus, when these superstrings vibrate, and we're really looking to see what is the cause of the vibration in the first place, sound is formed and matter is created. This is the great secret of how holy tzaddikim are able to bring about apparent miracles in nature, using thought-focused kavanah and sounds of the holy alphabet. They simply create a picture in their minds of an alternative reality. Then they channel the image of it into the power of speech. Now, that's not such an easy thing. Now, think of what he says again. They simply create a picture in their minds of an alternative reality. Now, my thinking is this is not just any reality. It's the reality behind the revelation. They can go extremely, extremely deep. Then this channel the image of it into the power of speech. In other words, they speak works of prayers or gaze at the Shema the Kedoshim. One thing leads to another, and they keep going backwards into the root of all. Once the energy of sound is activated, so you have to get to the place, this in Kabbalah is called the Av Sag Da'ak. But if you haven't been over there yet, maybe you heard this one. It's it's also called the Roma Ma'alos, the highest part of the innermost part. It's possible to reach in your mind to the Ein Sof Baruch Hu, to infinity itself. Once the energy of sound is activated, a change in the physical matter occurred at the subatomic level, and a new reality is created, and a miracle is performed. Now, we said specifically that we know that there are tzaddikim, especially, but everywhere, whose prayers really matter. And because of that their ability to be able to reach beyond and to find the roots of the current reality, and then pray into a new reality. So is the ideal state, let me bring this down a little bit more here so I can read it better. In the ideal state of interconnectedness that we are aiming for, you are actually much more alert, more awake than you could ever be in the other, more common state of identifying with your mind. This is the Tikkun Elevator Kollel, and I'm Baruch Fleischman. We've been reading the words of the Most Holy Rabbi Yosef Chaim MIMRAN in this tremendous work, How to Cling to Your Eternity.